Moments ago, the president posting this major announcement. We want to read it to you in full. Here it is. Iran promised to open the Strait of Hormuz, and they knowingly failed to do so, the president writes. This caused anxiety, dislocation, and pain to many people and countries throughout the world. They say they put mines in the water, even though all of their Navy and most of their mine droppers have been completely blown up. So there you have it. The meeting went well. Most points were agreed to, but the only point that really mattered, nuclear, was not. Effective immediately, the president states, the United States Navy, the finest in the world, will begin the process of blockading any and all ships trying to enter or leave the Strait of Hormuz. At some point, we will reach an all being allowed to go in, all being allowed to go out basis, but Iran has not allowed that to happen by merely saying there may be a mine out there somewhere that nobody knows about but them. This is world extortion, and leaders of countries, especially the United States of America, will never be extorted. I have also instructed our Navy to seek and interdict every vessel in international waters that has paid a toll to Iran. No one who pays an illegal toll will have safe passage on the high seas. We will also begin destroying the mines the Iranians laid in the straits. Any Iranian who fires at us or at peaceful vessels will be blown to hell. The president writes, Iran knows better than anyone how to end this situation, which has already devastated their country. Their Navy is gone, their Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft and radar are useless. Khomeini and most of their leaders are dead, all because of their nuclear ambition. The blockade will begin shortly. Other countries will be involved with this blockade. Iran will not be allowed to profit off this illegal act of extortion. They want money, and more importantly, they want nuclear. Additionally, and at an appropriate moment, we are fully locked and loaded, and our military will finish up the little that is left of Iran. President Donald J. Trump.
Patriots, I'm at Restored Republic via a GCR update for Monday, April 13th, 2026, compiled by Judy Byington. The crackdown has begun. Operation Final Judgment. At first light, a decisive operation unfolded across the United States. Under direct military coordination, thousands of individuals accused of undermining national interests were taken into custody in a synchronized large-scale sweep. Julian Assange on Telegram, Sunday, April 12, 2026. And a quote from an SRA survivor, "Our world is controlled and run by satanic pedophile psychopaths. May God continue to bless our great nation and her people as we enter our 250th year. America will prevail. President Donald J. Trump." And from George Washington, "One nation under God." Remembering an antidote. Choosing to remember God mutes our murmuring. Focusing on Him and acting on His promises points us forward. And so in those moments that are hard, when the days feel long or when hope seems distant, let us remember that the same God who delivered Israel still delivers His children today. Judy note, Sunday, April 12th, military intelligence reported that a massive underground tunnel city discovered directly beneath Washington, D.C., has been the central hub of the Clinton child trafficking ring for over 30 years. Direct high-speed rail lines run from Hillary's Chappaqua estate straight into the White House basement and Capitol sub-levels. As of this hour, over 412,000 children have been rescued from this single network, many of them reporting they were moved through these very rails during the Clinton years. Also on Sunday, April 12th, President Trump confirmed from his secure bunker that the U.S. has fully secured the Iran underground plant vault south of Tehran. There, U.S. Special Forces extracted the original Epstein extortion archives. Every tape, every session, every name. He now had the proof to take down the fake Jewish Zionists and Deep State Cabal's Ninth Circle's international child sex trafficking ring of Epstein Circle. Epstein victim Maria Farmer said, "The Circle saw themselves as the chosen race, believing their DNA made them superior. According to Farmer, they openly demeaned and looked down on Gentiles." These Zionist Deep State Kabbalists had built a worldwide power structure through central banks, private agencies, and captured U.S. government departments. Using compromised politicians, they money laundered American tax dollars into black budgets that financed bioweapon labs, extensive child sex trafficking tunnels, election manipulation tools, and surveillance grids, used to manipulate and maintain their power. Meanwhile, President Trump has quietly seized full control of the deep state cabal's money source, the fiat currency of the global financial system. Last Tuesday, April 7, 2026, Trump implemented a gold asset-backed global currency reset in 209 countries, thereby taking away power from the corrupt cabal by establishing a sovereign, gold-backed U.S. Treasury note system. Trump also made sure there was no more income taxes, only tariffs plus a simple 14% sales tax on new goods. The fiat dollar was dying and the entire deep state empire was melting down in real time. Those acts produced a need for soon activation of the emergency broadcast system to expose all. Worldwide temporary martial law would remain in full effect to keep homelands calm while the truth hits like thunder. Another Trump accomplishment. On Monday, April 13, 2026, Phase 1 free medbed treatments expanded for true patriots. Vaccine-injured patriots and deep state victims would be first in line for miraculous healing. The center of the Ninth Circle satanic cult's power lay in their international child sex trafficking. Ron Newt was only one example of how they manipulated to stay in control. They offered Newt $200,000 to lie about his kids being touched by Michael Jackson and do a TV special on it with deep stater Oprah Winfrey. He declined, though was pronounced dead shortly after his statement. Oprah Winfrey had several connections to child sex trafficking, hung out with the Epstein crowd, including known child sex offenders, harbored a child sex trafficking tunnel beneath her Maui, Hawaii estate. Her African girls' school was involved in multiple lawsuits that indicated sexual abuse of students. Oprah was called a slave trader and was believed behind the cabal's destruction of Lahaina, Maui, Hawaii, so the cabal could turn the former Hawaiian native capital into a smart city. The Ninth Circle's child trafficking tentacles stretch far beyond the U.S. Saturday, April 11, 2026. And we have a link to amgnews.com, A Mother's Cry for Justice. Trapped in a web of corruption, one woman fights to save her son from a dark network. They tried to silence her, but now the world will hear her story. Of course, none of the cabal's illegal activities could happen without the cooperation of local law enforcement that was supported by the higher-ups in Washington, D.C. 8 years ago, I wrote the below article about how the FBI, CIA, Homeland Security, and even local police were complicit in child sex trafficking. It appeared that nothing was done about it until Trump and his global military alliance activated. Thus, the haunting question remained: how many millions of children have been tortured and abused without the protection and downright permission of our legal authorities since the Satan-worshipping bankers took over our global financial system? Possible timing. On Monday, April 6, 2026, the new global quantum financial system was operational. 209 nations, with gold-backed currencies ending the fiat debt slavery. Trump had ripped financial control of the world from the cabal, restoring the sovereign U.S. Treasury. No income taxes, tariffs, and fair sales tax now ruled. On Tuesday, April 7, 2026, banks were briefly dark as old debts were erased, IRS abolished, prosperity funds launched for we the people. The cabal's swift global financial system Society for Worldwide Interbank Financial Telecommunication officially died and admitted that all messages about financial payments must now only be sent in the ISO 20022 format. This format worked with a number of payment and settlement methods, such as wire transfers across borders and securities transactions. This had an impact on over 11,000 banks, 200 countries, and $5 to $7 trillion worth of transactions every day. On Saturday, April 11, 2026, at precisely 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, control of global satellite communications shifted. Space-based infrastructure was now under military command. Starlink systems have been rerouted to secured frequencies beyond the civilian access. On Sunday, April 12th, start of new financial era. April 13th, President Donald Trump was set to make an announcement aimed at dismantling entrenched power structures that have controlled governments, finances, and media for decades. On Saturday, April 18th, possible EBS broadcast. Emergency Broadcast System. Sunday, April 12, 2026. We have a link to GazetteTeller.com. Breaking now, U.S. military units in high gear on EBS training, full control of TV, phones, and internet being prepared now. The White House has signaled that the time has come. Sometime in the next 2 days, a blackout and lockdown will be global in all countries of the world. It will last 10 to 12 days when everyone will be asked to stay at home during a specific 5-hour window. You will see the Global Military Alliance on the streets making arrests of corrupt pedophile Satan worshippers. The corruption was coming to an end. The old world would end with a broadcast. The new world would begin as you explained to those around you what was going on.
When is the EBS?
Well, that's about as dumb as it comes, okay? If we all knew the schedule, then it'd be like the attack at Pearl Harbor, as Trump said. A little surprise. Come on, man.
But he put out the reset's coming.
Okay. Oh, reset is a whole different thing. Reset in what area? Is it going to be a medical reset? Is it going to be the food reset? Is it going to be a power system reset? The cell phones that need to be reset because they're weaponized? Is it going to be the financial reset? I'm just saying, he's not clarifying. We have multiple things that have to be reset, that are going to be reset. In the broadest sense, resetting the way that we have to constantly be chased around with terrorism and going to the next conflict and war and surprise and everything else, taking it out at the roots. That's like really smart. And Iran is, at the center of much of that. So, excuse me, the reset can mean different things in different places. Give me a fucking break.
On Wednesday, April 18, 2026, a global announcement was reportedly scheduled to be delivered through the emergency broadcast system, reaching mobile devices across the world. According to these claims, the announcement would address issues tied to U.S. national security and introduce sweeping economic reforms associated with the so-called Nassara-Jassara framework. These reforms were described as a means of eliminating global debt and redistributing wealth back to citizens. By that point, the EBS would have overridden major media channels, including television, radio, and internet platforms, to ensure universal access to the message. The broadcast was expected to instruct people worldwide to return home within 5 hours in preparation for a temporary global lockdown. estimated to last between 10 and 12 days. During the first 72 hours of this period, it was claimed that coordinated transmissions from multiple countries would air continuously in numerous languages. These broadcasts were said to present extensive documentary-style content, outlining alleged covert operations by an international alliance, working to dismantle entrenched power structures and reveal hidden truths to the global population. EBS blackout martial law lockdowns. The worldwide EBS emergency broadcast system was about to begin its final phase, which included 10 days of darkness, mass arrests, and nationwide operations. A whopping 50,000 military troops have been mobilized to ensure the EBS is supported. With U.S. Inc. dissolved, President Trump has restored America's sovereignty by a return to the original Constitution and common law, while maritime law has officially collapsed. As Commander-in-Chief of the Global Military Alliance, President Trump has given a go for the military to take down the deep state cabal across the world. Expect soon worldwide EBS, blackout, martial law, and lockdowns for 10 to 12 days during mass arrests. Prepare, trust the plan. Saturday, April 11th, EBS deployment window this week. Red folder unsealed, final phase initiated. Ezra A. Cohen on Telegram. On Saturday, April 11th, 2026, at precisely 6 o'clock Eastern Standard Time, control of global satellite communications shifted. Space-based infrastructure is now under military command. Starlink systems have been rerouted to secure frequencies beyond civilian access. 10 nations are moving in lockstep, aligning their emergency broadcast systems for synchronized activation. What follows is not a message. It is a controlled global disclosure event. The broadcast protocol, 8 hours per cycle, 3 times daily, 10 consecutive days. No interruptions, no external interference. What will be exposed? Military tribunal recordings involving high-ranking political figures, corporate elites, and media power players. Documented evidence of international trafficking operations. The Epstein network fully unsealed, no redactions. Classified bioweapon programs tied to state-level funding. The transition framework, QFS activation, and SR-to-SR rollout sequence. Martial law protocols will be enforced during the broadcast period to maintain stability. National Guard units are already positioned across multiple regions. Recent global conflicts were not the objective. They were the distraction. The real operation has been unfolding behind the scenes. Targets secured, evidence prepared, timeline locked, authorization was finalized. The directive was given. The system you've known is reaching its end cycle. A new structure is being introduced. Controlled, monitored, irreversible. Prepare accordingly. Secure essentials. Stay informed. Keep communication lines open with your family. The next phase will not be explained. It will be shown. Stay alert.
I don't know what's going on in New York right now, but check this out. They got a whole perimeter around the Fox News building right here on 6th Avenue. I think they're getting ready for something big. Something real big is about to happen. Wait for it.
They sold us hope in plastic wraps while lobbyists drank from golden taps. They said freedom but men control. Stack the deck then rig the polls.
Global financial collapse. Banks operate with 0% reserve requirements while loaning out up to 26 times your deposits. We're sitting on a massive quadrillion derivatives market, and if things go south, the entire system could collapse. They loan what you don't have. They bet on what doesn't exist. They build everything on a foundation of air, and you're inside it, the MAGA king on Telegram. Sunday, April 12th, Operation Final Judgment, the crackdown has begun. Julian Assange on Telegram. At first light, a decisive operation unfolded across the United States. Under direct military coordination, thousands of individuals accused of undermining national interests were taken into custody in a synchronized, large-scale sweep. Within hours, transport aircraft were mobilized, moving detainees towards secured military facilities for further processing. It was not random. It was structured, calculated, and executed with precision. The operation targeted a wide network of figures across multiple sectors, individuals long suspected of operating behind the scenes in ways that weakened institutional stability, distorted public systems, and redirected national priorities. For years, these concerns were dismissed or buried. Now they are being acted upon. Simultaneous actions took place across major cities and strategic regions. There were no prior announcements, no leaks, and no hesitation. Teams moved quickly, securing locations and transferring detainees through controlled channels. The scale alone signals a shift that many believed would never come. At the center of this moment is a deeper claim that power structures had grown beyond accountability, protected by complexity, influence, and silence. This operation challenges that idea directly. Processing is ongoing. Facilities are operating continuously, handling intake, identification, and case review. What was once speculation is now being translated into action, with systems moving faster than traditional channels ever allowed. The broader impact is already being felt. For many, these represent a turning point, a moment where long-standing frustrations meet visible response. For others, it raises serious questions about how such power is exercised and what comes next. One thing is certain. This marks a shift in direction, a moment where control, accountability, and authority are being redefined in real time.
So, hold on and be careful. All the stuff that you're wishing for, I don't want to hear one complaint from anybody that's asking those kind of questions. Are we going to see anything? When it goes so fast and you have hundreds of indictments in days and weeks, don't complain that it's going too fast. They can't keep up. We don't know. Bullshit.
It's already done. Can't you feel that shift? Energy strong like a cosmic lift. Everything changes when I trust my gift. I speak my desire and the timeline split.
Global Military Alliance, Friday, April 10th. Earth Alliance war active now. U.S. military raids, global underground bases and bioweapon labs, seizes free energy tech. Iran tunnels collapse, final disclosure next. 10 Days of Darkness on Telegram. Right now, the Earth Alliance is running active military operations across multiple continents to complete the takedown of the global cabal. White Hat forces in the U.S. military, Space Force, and allied special units are raiding vast underground tunnel networks, seizing bioweapon labs, and shutting down human trafficking pipelines that funded the old evil power structure. And remember, just a side note, remember that the light beings and off-world ETs and Commander Thor and Venusians, they are also doing a lot of hard work where they are risking their lives in those deep, deep tunnels, destroying and killing evil and rescuing children when they can. So, it's important that we always recognize what they're doing, I don't think we could save this planet without them. So we need to always thank them. These operations directly empower Donald Trump's America First agenda by removing the hidden infrastructure that assaulted American sovereignty for decades. High-level sources confirm raids on ancient tunnel systems in the Middle East, repurposed by cabal assets in Iran. U.S. and allied forces are liberating thousands of trafficked children and victims while capturing exotic technologies. Extreme depth earthquakes from USGS mark the underground battles against deep state holdouts and negative elements. Positive inner earth forces aid in clearing portals and advanced weapons aimed at the people. Trump's team coordinates strikes via secure channels to dismantle cabal financial nodes tied to energy suppression. Every raid seizes black project assets, promising lower costs and innovation explosion for patriots. During March and April 2026, the Alliance intensified tunnel clearances connected to trafficking and illegal arms. Strikes hit sites in over 100 countries, targeting trafficking, bioweapons, and energy grids. Quantum-free energy technologies are recovered as the labs come under White Hat control, heading toward public deployment to end scarcity. Tribunals process cabal elites in real time, spotting clones with advanced scans. Mass arrests are on track with EBS prepared for full disclosure activation. The quantum financial system activates gold-backed transactions replacing fiat slavery. Nasara Jasara triggers debt jubilees and prosperity releases from seized assets across 209 nations, restoring sovereignty to Americans first. The Earth Alliance controls stargates, and Iran Ops secured the final node for non-human intelligence disclosure. Trump prepares to release UFO data and suppress tech linked to free energy. Space Force protects from orbit as benevolent craft counter threats. Bases in Antarctica, Moon, and Mars are being liberated from the Dark Fleet. Cabal figures beg for deals, but face full accountability. Free energy prototypes test successfully set to create high-wage jobs and smash monopolies. Trafficking pipelines and bioweapon sites face permanent destruction. Citizens reclaim resources and security. President Trump directs strategy with White Hat briefings. Deep state countermoves fail as earthquakes signal ongoing victories. White Hat coalitions advance under American leadership. The cabal falls as free energy, prosperity, and the Great Awakening bring total victory to the Republic. Patriots, the storm is here, and the deep state is finished forever. And just a reminder, when we are in Iran and we are taking out facilities and things, they're also deep underground. There's some sort of black rock or something underground and hide like alien technology. And they're retrieving that and neutralizing it also. But they're not going to say that. They're not going to come out and tell you that on, of course, mainstream media will never tell you that. So the narrative is, they have nuclear weapons. We can't let them have nuclear weapons. But the narrative is something put out there. Deep state controls the mainstream media, so that's what they want you to think. But we know there's more to it than what we hear on the mainstream media.
Trump and the global military alliance were literally leading a battle of good against evil. In reality, they were fighting the centuries-old Illuminati Ninth Circle satanic cult centered at the Vatican, which was considered the most powerful satanic force in the world. The Ninth Circle was composed of global leaders who worked out of US Inc., the UK crown city of London, and the Vatican. They kept in power by holding throughout the year regular child sacrifice and pedophile parties at private estates and groves across the globe. The satanic rites were done in honor of Satan in return for his promises of power, riches, and glory. Until President Trump, the Global Military Alliance and BRICS National Alliance came into force. The Ninth Circle had control of the global monetary system. On the 1st of April 2026, the Ninth Circle's corrupt and fiat SWIFT money exchange system was taken over by the gold, asset-backed global currency reset of 209 nations because of the BRICS Nations Alliance working with President Trump. Meanwhile, the Epstein files have revealed the largest genocide in human history. 8 million children go missing every single year, while the Ninth Circle was still running the international deep state child sex trafficking, organ and adrenochrome harvesting ring. The Ninth Circle dark policies of Satan worship also infiltrated all drug and gun-running cartels on Earth. The Ninth Circle 24/7's activities of kidnapping, rape, torture, and murder of babies, children, and teens were enforced by the KM. How do they do it with such numbers? They all worked out of a massive DUMB tunnel system that ran under sea and land to connect every major city on Earth. That all began to change in April 2014, with prosecution of 26 Vatican leaders by the International Tribunal into Crimes of Church and State, ITCCS, through the International Common Law Court of Justice in Brussels. By 2016, with the election of President Donald Trump, a worldwide coalition was formed with the global military alliance to take down this powerful Ninth Circle satanic cult and its millions of minions. On the 1st of April 2014, the ITCC's case, representing over 50,000 missing Native Canadian children, began its prosecution phase at the ICLCJ court in Brussels, Belgium. Charged with crimes against humanity were Pope Francis, Jesuit Superior General Adolfo Pachon, Anglican Archbishop of Canterbury Justin Welby, former Pope Joseph Ratzinger, UK High Court Justice Judge Fulford, and members of the British royal family including Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip. A year later, all of these global elites were found guilty for their atrocities against children, including murder and pedophilia, as members of the Vatican's Ninth Circle child sacrifice cult. The court case was years in the making, and when proceedings finally began, witnesses were forced into hiding after Vatican sources indicated to ITCCS. Prosecutors at the Vatican had dispatched a covert operations team to disrupt the court. During the trial, prominent U.S. and Canadian politicians and corporate officials were named as practicing members of the Ninth Circle, according to ITCCS spokesperson Kevin Annett. That meant that they were regularly raping and killing children in the satanic rites of the Vatican's Ninth Circle. A special office at the Vatican supplied children for an international child trafficking ring in their Ninth Circle satanic child sacrifice cult activities, according to affidavits of former employees of the Vatican Curia. The children were said to be from Catholic orphanages, adoption agencies, hospitals and schools in Canada and the U.S., Catholic orphanages in Argentina, plus Canadian native tribes. The court eventually found that these Ninth Circle satanic child sacrifice cult members were raping, torturing, and murdering children on a regular basis throughout the year. Testifying witnesses claimed that brutal satanic crimes against children continued even today, some done in secretive sub-basement vaults beneath Roman Catholic cathedrals. The Ninth Circle satanic child sacrifice cult global leaders were heavily involved in pedophilia and operating at Roman Catholic cathedrals in Montreal, New York, Rome, London, and dozens of other locations. Cult members were also thought to use privately owned forest groves in America, Canada, France, and Holland. Since at least 1962, former Pope Benedict Joseph Ratzinger had been a member of the Ninth Circle, according to an affidavit by a witness who was a former member of the Vatican Curio. There were 16 witnesses who testified, many of whom claimed they were eyewitnesses to child murders by the cult. 2 claimed that as children, they were present at child sacrifices with the former Pope Joseph Ratzinger. Over 40 child mass grave sites have been located at Catholic, Canadian government-run native residential schools across Canada. In 2008, a child's remains were found at the Mohawk Residential School in Brantford, Ontario. though ITCC's requests for excavation had continually been refused by officials in the Canadian government. British Crown, Catholic and Anglican churches, plus at the United Church of Canada. On Monday the 14th of April 2014, the ICLCJ court began its prosecution phase. 10 satanic ritual abuse survivor witnesses testified throughout the week, over 60 throughout the year. The witnesses were from Canada, the US, Argentina, Holland, and the UK. The Ninth Circle began at least 3 centuries ago in the Vatican, and that's stated, and has expanded to embrace local satanic child sacrifice cults across Europe and the Americas. Thanks to Catholic pressure, the Ninth Circle affiliated strongly with Nazi cultic groups that had close ties with the Waffen-SS during the 1930s and 40s. Pope Ratzinger became the first pope to resign his position, and did so the same week of his ICLCJ court guilty verdict for crimes against humanity. Pope Ratzinger's and 29 other global leaders' guilty verdicts were handed down by 6 judges and 36 jury members from various countries. Monday, the 14th of April 2014, U.S.-Canadian politicians joined global leaders in satanic child sacrifice cult crime all-stars before its news.
He's doing a very good job. He likes crime, I guess. He hit us. Think of it. He's worried about fear. What about the fear when the ministers and the priests and all of those great people that were arrested during COVID, and in many cases they're outside 10 feet apart and they were arrested. So we don't like it. We don't like a pope that's going to say that it's okay to have a nuclear weapon. We don't want a pope that says crime is okay in our cities. I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of Pope Leo. He's a very liberal person, and he's a man that doesn't believe in stopping crime. He's a man that doesn't think that we should be toying with a country that wants a nuclear weapon so they can blow up the world. I'm not a fan of Pope Leo.
The Ninth Circle Satanic Cult Agenda. Saturday, April 11th, 2026. George Soros, USAID, OCCRP, Organized Crime and Corruption Reporting Project, the world's largest consortium of investigative journalists, and the CIA have taxpayer-funded psychological warfare and regime change operations on U.S. soil. Edward Snowden on Telegram. George Soros, USAID, OCCRP, and the CIA have targeted American citizens and funded radical left Marxist agendas through front companies and corrupt NGOs. Soros, USAID, the CIA, and OCCRP were all funded by U.S. taxpayer dollars, either by congressional approval or money laundering, and were the same exact groups that funded Trump's impeachment. They were the same groups that were supposed to work for the president, but were working directly against the president. How many more organizations that are funded with taxpayer dollars or budgets are completely state and grant funded that are really just fronts for these exact type of operations? Saturday, April 11th, underground empire discovered. Follow the tunnels, follow the money. $21 trillion heist. Elite dumb cities exposed. They didn't lose the money, they buried it underground. Q on Telegram. The globalist elite have been exposed in a massive $21 trillion heist that patriots are now uncovering. They didn't lose the money through accounting errors. Instead, they siphoned it into building an underground empire of deep underground military bases, or DUMBs. These hidden cities are engineered to shield the cabal from the very collapse they have orchestrated on the surface world. In the years leading up to 2026, vast sums of taxpayer money were funneled through black project budgets into these subterranean fortresses. While Americans faced economic struggles, open borders, and division tactics, the deep state built luxury bunkers equipped with the most advanced technology imaginable. Mark Skidmore's research revealed how trillions disappeared from Department of Defense and HUD ledgers. This was no mistake, but deliberate theft to create escape plans for the ruling elite. Catherine Austin Fitts has confirmed on public platforms how these funds created a parallel world beneath our feet, inaccessible to the average citizen. The DUMB network includes extensive tunnel systems, with maglev trains capable of high-speed travel between bases across the country and beyond, powered by zero-point energy and featuring self-sustaining systems, genetic labs, and AI capabilities. These cities represent a breakaway civilization funded by the people they seek to control. This act of treason reveals the true nature of the globalist agenda. They plan to retreat underground during engineered crises like pandemics and economic meltdowns, leaving the population above to fend for themselves in chaos. The tunnel connects their operations, potentially hiding even darker activities that QAnon researchers have suspected for years. The Great Awakening is gaining momentum as these truths surface in 2026. White hats within the military are exposing the network, aligning with the Q plan to dismantle the deep state. Patriots are fired up and ready to demand answers. Follow the money straight down the tunnels. Demand full audits of black budgets and full disclosure of dumb locations. The cabal thought they could hide forever, but the light of truth is penetrating their underground lairs. Patriots worldwide are uniting to tear down this hidden empire. The elite will face justice for their betrayal. The storm is here, and victory belongs to we the people as the underground secrets are brought to the surface.
Right now, there are 131 active deep underground military bases in the United States. Each one has an average cost of $17 to $19 billion. My colleague, Al Bielek, has actually been on some of the high-speed railways, magneto-leviton trains that connect all the deep underground military bases within the United States. He's been on a Mach 2 train, close off of a single rail at a 3/4 of an inch off the rail, and what you call high-tech. We have nothing like this on the surface. The public basically has been totally lied to. We're considered stupid or even moronic in some cases. They must tell us the truth. If they cannot do this, then they must be impeached.
Saturday, April 11th, in a coordinated overnight white hat operation, U.S. Special Forces raided multiple hidden underground facilities tied to Hillary Clinton. Martial law on Telegram. What they found was beyond anything we could have imagined. Live adrenochrome harvesting labs with dozens of rescued victims. Video archives of satanic rituals featuring top elites and world leaders. Documents detailing cloned politicians, replacing real leaders for decades. Suppressed free energy tech and mind control devices designed to keep humanity enslaved forever. Save the Children, Saturday, April 11, 2026. A survivor of satanic ritual abuse says she was trafficked and tortured from the day she was born in an underground facility in Rome, with tunnels connecting to the Vatican and used by European elites. She claims she witnessed child sacrifice being carried out inside the Vatican, including the drinking of children's blood. She alleges that religion, the military, media, medicine, intelligence agencies, and governments are all under their control. Our world is controlled and run by satanic pedophile psychopaths. JFK Awakening on Telegram. Saturday, April 11, 2026. The Epstein files reveal the largest genocide in human history. 8 million children go missing every single year. The White Hats on Telegram. Saturday, April 11th, long before Epstein, there was McMartin Preschool in Manhattan Beach, California. There were 360 preschool children who testified to regular satanic ritual abuse, sexual abuse, and torture in underground tunnels beneath the preschool. The McMartin defendants were acquitted after a 7-year trial, and afterwards, archaeologists found and documented the tunnels. Saturday, April 11th, breaking. Incredible sight as Irish patriots just claimed an entire street in Dublin, standing in the face of police threatening to arrest truckers and farmers. Dan Scavino on Telegram. Saturday, April 11th, 2026. Mel Gibson said that Ellen DeGeneres, a TV host and actress, was a cannibal. Should be put to death for partying on Epstein's island. Leonardo DiCaprio has said the same thing. The American actor and director says that he and his team looked at 3.5 million pages of Epstein and U.S. Department of Justice documents, found that DeGeneres was a very important person in Hollywood's darkest circles. It is said that she and DiCaprio, 8 people, did other bad things related to child trafficking. Gibson says that Hollywood is full of cannibals and pedophiles, so a mass purge is needed. Congressman Tim Burchett backed him and said that the U.S. should take seriously the task of cleaning up the mess, putting an end to this epidemic. And Sunday, April 12th, famous actor who portrayed Jesus Christ, Jim Caviezel, estimated that a barrel of adrenochrome, blood of a deeply traumatized child, children's body parts, was worth $77,000 in U.S. dollars. Hollywood pedophiles were going down. It's happening. The exposure's happening. Join for more. Jim Caviezel, real.
No mercy for evil. We hunt till the last one falls. From the ruins to the steeple. Hear that battle call.
A baby's heart starts beating on day 22 of human development and before its brain exists. No electrical signal from the brain starts it. Nothing starts it. It just begins. It's called cardiac automaticity. Dr. David Batt at the U of Oxford 2016 study. A cluster of cells in the embryo begins to pulse. There is no brain. There is no nervous system. There are no electrical impulses from any external source. There is no pacemaker. There is nothing that modern science can identify as the trigger. It just spontaneously starts. Once that heartbeat begins, it never stops. Not once, for 80 years. Your heart beats 100,000 times per day, 35 million times per year, 2.5 billion times in a lifetime, without rest, without maintenance, without a single conscious command from you. No machine ever built by humans has operated continuously for 80 years without stopping. Not one. Your heart does it while also generating an electromagnetic field, 5,000 times stronger than your brain. A field that extends several feet outside your body and can be measured by instruments in another room. The HeartMath Institute has documented that this field changes in real time based on your emotional state. Gratitude and love produce coherent, organized patterns. Fear and anger produce chaotic, fragmented patterns. Your heart is not just pumping blood, it is broadcasting your emotional state into the space around you. And other people's nervous systems are receiving that broadcast. A mother's heartbeat synchronizes with her baby's when she holds it against her chest. Not after minutes, within seconds. 2 electromagnetic fields locking into the same frequency. This is not bonding. This is resonance. This is physics. Something started your heart before your brain existed. Something keeps it beating without your permission. Something made it the strongest electromagnetic broadcaster in your body, and that something is not in any textbook. They can't explain how your heart beats. They cannot explain what made it start, and they will never fund the research to find out, because the answer would change everything.
Sunday, April 12, 2026. Shocking revelation. Over 1,000 trafficked children and dead bodies discovered alongside weapons of mass destruction on Evergreen ship blocking Suez Canal. 10 Days of Darkness on Telegram. Also see Thursday, April 1st, 2021. Before its news, trafficked children, bodies, weapons found on Evergreen ship blocking Suez Canal. In a stunning development rocking the foundations of the deep state, authorities have exposed the true nature of the Evergreen cargo ship that blocked the Suez Canal in a high-stakes operation. Over 1,000 trafficked children, many accompanied by the bodies of deceased victims, were rescued from within the ship's containers, shining a harsh light on the elites of the international trafficking empire. This Evergreen vessel, with strong ties to the Clinton Foundation and major players like Walmart, was part of a larger scheme to smuggle human cargo and deadly arms across the globe. White Hat forces, spearheaded by U.S. Navy SEALs, moved swiftly at Egypt's Great Bitter Lake to free these innocent victims who were headed for the most depraved fates orchestrated by high-ranking pedophiles in the cabal. The children had reportedly been sourced and ordered through sinister methods, including online catalogs favored by the satanic elite. Their rescue highlights the satanic rituals and adrenochrome operations that fuel the New World Order agenda, profiting off the suffering of the most vulnerable. Compounding the horror, investigators also unearthed weapons of mass destruction on board, clearly destined to ignite wars in the Middle East through covert channels involving intelligence agencies loyal to the globalists. The grounding of the ship appears to have been a calculated deep state maneuver, possibly executed via compromised systems, aimed at masking their illicit activities while halting international trade. The blockage resulted in enormous financial hits to the cabal, with losses soaring into hundreds of millions daily as supply lines for both trafficked humans and armaments were severed. The captain's non-cooperation and withheld critical data suggest a frantic attempt to conceal the operation that has now speculatorily backfired. This event marks a significant blow to the globalist pedophile network. As QAnons have anticipated, the Whiteheads are executing the plan with precision, liberating children and dismantling the infrastructure of evil. The Great Awakening is gaining unstoppable momentum, with patriots worldwide recognizing these signs of the impending victory. The Luciferian controllers are in disarray as their secrets spill out into the open. Humanity is on the brink of liberation from the reign of terror. Trust the plan, stay vigilant, and prepare for the full exposure that will bring justice for all the stolen children and end the deep state's grip forever. The storm is here and the children are being saved.
What we think we know as of Monday, the 13th of April 2026, Saturday, the 11th of April 2026, Update. CENTCOM Supreme Commander Admiral Brad Cooper stated that the United States Navy has begun establishing a new safe passage for commercial shipping through the Strait of Hormuz. The route will be shared soon to restore confidence and ensure the free flow of commerce. Sunday, the 12th of April, 2026, Fox News. In January, the Iranian regime killed plus 40,000 protesters in the streets, including children as young as 8. Just 90 days later, countries like the UK, France, and Spain supported Iran's appointment to a leadership role on a UN human rights body. Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026, Barack Obama shipped $1.7 billion in cash to Iran. Pallets stacked high, flown straight into Tehran right before he left office. Obama funded the evil regime in Iran with our tax money. Treason. Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026. Breaking. Iran strikes reveal direct undersea super tunnel to U.S. President Trump, safe in the secure White Hat command bunker. Just watch the impossible happen live. The precision strikes on Iran triggered the master tunnel map to explode with a new glowing red line. A 5,000-mile undersea super tunnel running straight from Iranian D-state bunkers into hidden U.S. coastal DUMBs along California and Florida. U.S. Army forces under Trump's direct command are already inside both ends. Raiding live as we speak. Temporary martial law has now expanded a full coastal lockdown to protect the rescue operation. The hidden truth on Telegram. Judy note. This happened last week sometime. Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026. Shocking. The Irish government is at war with its own people. Ireland's defense minister confirms the army is being sent to crush peaceful protesters. They're deploying troops against Irish citizens while the country is flooded with migrants. Treason. 10 Days of Darkness on Telegram. Sunday, the 12th of April, 2026. Fox News. Gavin Newsom's $30 billion in home care program in California is losing $6 billion to $12 billion a year to fraud. The truth is, Newsom is not losing anything. Newsom is laundering $6 to $12 billion taxpayer dollars a year into his political support base through fraud. During March and April 2026, the alliance intensified tunnel clearances connected to trafficking in illegal arms. Strikes hit sites in over 100 countries targeting trafficking, bioweapons, and energy grids. CBS News' new fraud investigation just exposed an LA hospice physician's name on Medicare claims for nearly 2,800 patients in California. If it weren't for Nick Shirley and Elon Musk, the media would have never done this. Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026, Fox News. Joe Biden's own DOJ confirmed in a court of law, just days after he was overthrown by his own party, that Joe Biden committed treason. A criminal Romanian oligarch bribed Hunter Biden with over $3 million to influence U.S. policy through the big guy, Joe Biden. Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026. There were 16 states that used voting machines tied to George Soros through Smartmatic. How long have our elections really been rigged? Soros was also found to be connected to the Clinton Foundation, using your taxpayer dollars through front companies and NGOs to fund regime change operations across the globe, including right here in the United States. Pastor Bob Joyce Elvis? On Telegram. Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026. The Minnesota Freedom Caucus announces that impeachment hearings for Tim Walz and Keith Ellison will take place next week. Martial law on Telegram. Saturday, the 11th of April, 2026. After a 68% error rate with mail-in ballots was found in the Michigan 2020 election, a forensic audit of Dominion voting machines by election experts was performed. The results were released by a judge that read, "We conclude that the Dominion voting system is intentionally and purposefully designed with inherent errors to create systemic fraud and influence election results. The system intentionally generates an enormously high number of ballot errors. The electronic ballots are then transferred for adjudication. The intentional errors lead to bulk adjudication of ballots with no oversight, no transparency, and no audit trail. This leads to voter or election fraud. Based on our study, we conclude that the Dominion voting system should not be used in Michigan. We further conclude that the results of Antrim County should not have been certified." The Schiff on Telegram. Sunday, the 12th of April, 2026. Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth is announcing the termination of $580,000, 0.00 in DoD contracts and grants. We the people want a refund. Sunday, the 12th of April, 2026. Welcome to a $19.8 million adult daycare in California. No adults, no info. How to enroll my grandma. Phone number to nowhere. New BMW parked outside is a prime example of fraud, waste, and abuse. And the fraud. Carolyn Bessette Kennedy on Telegram.
Sunday, April 12th. These are the persons we're dealing with, their job and responsibility. Mr. Pull on Telegram. Number 1, Rothschild Vector Banking and the Architecture of Central Banks. Mayor Amschel Rothschild started the company in Frankfurt. He sent 5 of his sons to London, Paris, Vienna, Naples, and Frankfurt to set up a network of private banks that lent money to governments and made money from both sides of wars. Ownership stakes, advisory roles, and marrying into European nobility all gave people power. Rockefeller Vector, oil, pharma, foundations, and policy making. John D. Rockefeller's Standard Oil monopoly, which was broken up by its power, was spread out, turned into banking through Chase Manhattan, pharmaceuticals, education, and global health policy through foundations interlocks with the Trilateral Commission. The Bilderberg Group and conservation efforts hid plans for managing resources and people. Number 3, Pessoa Vector. The American corporate shell empire. It is said that Daniel Pessoa came to America around 1814, married into local families, and built up a lot of property through trusts. Class A preferred stock, always certificate number 1, and proxy names, Springs, Beatty, Poor, etc. The theory suggests that early railroads, banks like the Bank of America, and corporate shells were all controlled from North Carolina and other places. Khazarian legacy narratives. Merchant and financial diaspora threads. This party believes that medieval Khazar converts made a mafia of fake Jewish identity that got into banking and power structures and mixed with Rothschild-era networks to gain control over the world. People say that it is used to frame larger anti-Semitic groups that include politics, finance, and the media. The Springmeier template for the 13 bloodlines framework and connections. Astor, real estate, fur, trade, wealth. Bundy, political intel ties. Collins, DuPont, chemicals, explosives. Freeman, Kennedy, politics, media. Lee, Asian finance, shipping. Onassis, shipping. Russell, Skull and Bones, Yale. Van Dunn, Merovingian, European royal claims as 13th line, plus Rothschild Rockefeller as anchors. This week I'll go into more detail. This could easily cover thousands of pages. Here are the 5 things that are freeing us from these cabal. Number 1, executive orders aimed at networks that traffic people. Number 2, the Space Force is always watching and mapping assets. Number 3, financial rails that follow ISO 20022 and XRP bridge settlement. Number 4, Basel III capital rules and pressure to move away from SWIFT. Number 5, the new design of the Treasury dollar and the July 4th symbolic reset. Saturday, April 11th, Judgment Day activated. Grand jury targets the core of power. Mr. Poole on Telegram. The narrative shifts now, not slowly, not quietly, but with force. The Department of Justice has moved. A federal grand jury is being positioned as the mechanism through which one of the most controversial political chapters in modern U.S. history will be examined. This is no longer speculation, no longer commentary, no longer media noise. This is a legal process with real weight. A grand jury is not a press conference. It is not a headline. It is where evidence is placed in front of citizens with the authority to decide whether charges move forward. When this step is taken, it signals escalation. It means the system is no longer observing, it is acting. For years, the events surrounding the Russiagate investigations have divided the country. One side called it necessary oversight, the other called it coordinated political attack. Now, those arguments begin to move out of the public arena and into a legal one. Names that have dominated political discourse for nearly a decade are again at the center of attention. Former officials, intelligence leaders, and key figures connected to past investigations are being pulled back into focus. The difference now is not media coverage, but legal scrutiny. What changes everything is the structure of the process itself. A grand jury operates behind closed doors. Evidence is presented, testimonies are heard. There is no performance, no cameras, no political spin. Only one question matters. Is there enough to proceed? If the answer is yes, indictments follow. This is why the moment carries weight, because it moves the conversation from theory to consequence. Recent developments, including the declassification of previously withheld intelligence and renewed reviews of past actions, have added fuel to an already volatile situation. Claims, counterclaims, and long-standing accusations are now being funneled into a system designed to produce a definitive outcome. At the center of all is a larger question that has never been fully resolved. Were the institutions acting in defense of democracy, or were they used as instruments of political power? That question is no longer being debated in interviews or articles. It is being examined where it matters most. Inside the legal system, the Department of Justice, supported by federal investigators and prosecutors, is now driving the process forward. Procedures are being reset. Cases are being reevaluated. Paths that once seemed closed are being reopened. This signals something important, not necessarily the outcome, but the intent to reach one. If indictments come, the impact will be historic. If they do not, the process itself will still reshape public perception of what happened and who was responsible. Either way, the era of uncertainty begins to close. For years, many believed nothing would happen, that this system would stall, delay, and ultimately protect itself, that this chapter would remain unresolved, buried under layers of politics and time. That belief is now being tested because a grand jury is a point of no return. Once activated, it moves forward until a decision is made. No commentary can stop it. No narrative can redirect it. Only evidence matters now. The process has begun. The system is in motion, and whatever comes next will not be decided in headlines, but in courtrooms. This is where outcomes are no longer suggested. They are determined.
Will the military process the over 600,000 federal sealed indictments?
Well, again, it's probably not just that those indictments are 600,000. There's several million names in those indictments. Many of the indictments have the same names on multiple indictments. So, but at the end of the day, you're talking millions, and there's so many different areas that it covers. When we get into that, what it does is it allows for us to move quickly. But a lot of those indictments will be updated. So, for example, in the election stuff, even though we had stuff back in 2015, 16, 17, there's other stuff that updates fresh and new that has not been served, and the indictments don't time out, that are still in the federal court system. All across the country, 54 federal court. The first arrest, Podesta has some serious problems. Brennan has some serious problems. You see either of them get arrested, you know that they didn't do what they did by themselves. Many others were involved. So because of the way Brennan's been conducting himself and where he's hanging out, there may be a few extra twists in that one.
Because Iran tried hard to extort the global economy and take over securing the Strait of Hormuz. It is not working. As you just saw, the president's post this morning on Truth Social that the U.S. Navy is beginning this blockade right now of the Strait of Hormuz. Why is this important? Because the strait is a narrow waterway. Typically, the strait is the choke point where 20% of the oil and gas of the world is traveling through this strait. And as a result of what you are seeing this morning with the Navy beginning this blockade, it will be able to stop shifts. What we are seeing as a result, we are seeing a complete diversion. You're seeing major super tankers change direction and go to the Gulf of America for oil and gas. The president was very clear in his address to the nation a week and a half ago. He said that the United States right now is operating at 95% capacity. He said that the United States right now is producing more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. And if you remember, he said it twice. He said, let me say that again. The U.S. is producing more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. He directed allies to buy oil and gas from America. Now, the U.S. and allies are increasing their naval presence in the Strait of Hormuz right now to indicate to the world that, yes, Iran wanted the strait closed, it will then be closed, and all the traffic will be redirected to the Gulf of America, where the United States will up its capacity and up its sales of oil and gas to the rest of the world. There is a second front developing right now in this war, and that second front is about the economy. The United States military has destroyed the economy of Iran and will continue to do so. The president has talked a lot about helping the people of Iran. As much as this is decimating Iran and its economy, it is helping the people of Iran on the other side of this. So, major developments this morning with the United States beginning this blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, directing all traffic toward the Gulf of America, directing the U.S. to continue upping its capacity of production because the U.S. is right now, even before this situation, producing more oil and gas than Saudi Arabia and Russia combined. So the president will join me momentarily to give us more on all of this. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, we'll see. I just want to jump in there, Maria, because you did such a good job of laying out the impact to Asian markets, specifically China, and where this is headed. But just as we analyze things right now, is it becoming more and more apparent that the leverage that Iran thought it could hold over the Gulf states in taking the strait hostage that has existed for decades, are we now really learning in real time that they didn't ever have that card to really play?
That is exactly right, Griff. The Iranians tried to play their best card that they thought they had by securing and dominating the Strait of Hormuz. But President Trump outthought them and outmaneuvered them. That is the bottom line here. Now, I'm glad you mentioned China because this is a very critical part of this story. Given the fact that President Trump has basically taken the oil from Venezuela, taking Maduro out, then taken control of the situation in Iran, also his comments on Cuba, he has strengthened the hand of America when it relates to China. Remember, China was buying 90% of Iranian exports of oil, okay? It was paying under market prices because it was not even paying in dollars. But now China will have to compete on the global stage, and it will have to pay for the oil and gas in dollars if and when it turns to the Gulf of America for production of oil and gas. So this is a key part of the story. The Iranians tried to checkmate President Trump. Right. President Trump checkmated Iran with this beginning of a blockade of the Strait of Hormuz. The president
Well, would you look at that? A narco boat